Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism, here to talk to you more about the occult and the paranormal. Well, today I wanted to talk about an article that I read a few weeks ago. It's a quite interesting story. So let's go ahead and begin. The story begins in September 30th of 2020 at the St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Pearl River, Louisiana. So the story begins where this church was illuminated late at night, and an onlooker passed, and he noticed that that was uncharacteristic of this church. So they get closer and look into the window, and they certainly got an eyeful. What they saw was the church priest partially clothed with his priestly garments on, along with two women who were partially undressed, who were wearing black corsets and black high-heeled boots. And needless to say, the three were pleasuring each other on the church altar. One of the women, whose name was Mindy Dixon, was a professional adult entertainment actress and professional dominatrix. And as this was, as she was, let's say, going to the particular church, some of the evidence that they had against her was that when they looked at her social media accounts, they noticed that she said she was traveling to Pearl River to defile a house of God. So, back to the onlooker. The onlooker thought this was sufficiently interesting enough to take extensive video of what happened, and then decided to call the police. So the police came, they arrested the three for obscenity, which carries the charge of 6 months to 3 years of jail time. So this is a small town, so this got out rather quickly. Archbishop Amond, who presides over that archdiocese, commented that he considered this to be a demonic act. So what the archbishop decided to do was to take the altar and order it to be burned, and then the whole church be reconsecrated, because you can't very well burn down an entire church to purify it. So that's the next best thing. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, my thoughts about this. One is that was this purely a priest with a fantasy that he wanted to act out? It was definitely something that was a compelling enough desire to invest in this situation. Mindy was a professional dominatrix and porn actress, so he might have had to pay for that. To plan and create this situation, in the church, probably took a little bit of time. So was this just part of his thing and his stuff? Or was it part of something else? Was this part of some type of occult / satanic rite? And I realize that there are different types of Satanists, different types of rituals. However, there are some elements in this that might lend itself, at least if you think of it, circumstantial evidence. Because after all, this priest could, if it was just for his entertainment, he could have taken these women into his apartment and did what he needed to do, and that would be that. If we set aside the moral objections that one might have about him being a priest and doing all of this, and disavowing his vows of chastity and all of that, he could have done this another way. But instead, he chose to do it within a church, in the most sacred space, sacred part of the entire church, near the Eucharist, near all this type of things, with the light on, which was visible from the street. There's a element to this. So what am I thinking about as far as the rituals? Well, you have some satanic groups will intentionally invert Christian ideas, principles, to get the taboo aspect of it. So obtaining a Eucharist, for example, would be something that might take place in a black mass. Certain satanic groups have used nude women in their rituals, even as altars. Even in the Church of Satan and Anton LaVey back in the day would do work like this. You also have a small tradition in certain witchcraft groups of sex taking place. For example, there's the idea of the Great Rite, which is typically done to raise energy in a circle. Nowadays it's done more with a ritual knife and athame going into a cup, but back in the day, especially when I was first learning, that my original teachers, they actually did have a tradition of doing this, and I was never a part of it, but the priest and priestess would have sex in order to raise energy, or if one were to go to the third degree of witchcraft, where one could become a priest or priestess, then the person who's going to the third degree would have sex with the other the other person who's participating, the other priest or priestess. So I just want to say that there's an aspect of this that is very occult-like. So when you look at all of that, I guess my point is that we can't rule it out. Do I know for sure? No, but it is kind of suspicious to me. So the second thing I wanted to mention was, some of you might be like, so why did the bishop go to such great lengths to intervene in this when it was just a sex act in a place? You know, people don't, when they go, if they were to do it in a bathroom or a public place, it wouldn't be, people wouldn't go and try to do these sorts of things. Well, one is that, and by the way, I went and talked to my priest friend. He's a Catholic priest, and he wanted to discuss this with him and see give his input and confirm some of the things that I was thinking. And he did. There is a difference between a sacred space and non-sacred space, the sacred and the profane. Whenever, his exact words was, when an act of debauchery takes place in sacred space, that the space must be made sacred again. So the archbishop, what he ordered was for the altar to be purified by fire, destroyed, and then the whole church being blessed and reconsecrated according to the Roman rites, the proper ones. And a priest cannot do this, my friend said. It has to be done by an archbishop or maybe a bishop. And when all of that takes place and everything is cool, they have the right vibes in the church again, then services can recommence. And that's basically what I had to say about that. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think that this is just kind of a rogue priest who may have had some resentment against his faith, Maybe did he have some type of sexual fixation? Or was it, or could it have been the beginning of an occult situation? You tell me, what are your thoughts? And that being said, I hope that you all have a good weekend. I'm going to put so please subscribe and like. I'm going to put some links at the bottom in the description. and I will see you in a future video. Take care.